In a world obsessed with pleasure and comfort, we build magnificent palaces to shield ourselves from suffering. But what if the walls we build become our prison? This is the story of a man who had everything, yet discovered he had nothing. 26 centuries ago, while humanity raced endlessly after desires that never satisfied, one prince was about to shatter the greatest illusion of all. A child born to royalty, destined for greatness. The astrologers proclaimed, he will either become a mighty emperor or a spiritual leader who will change the world. This isn't New Age nonsense. The energy field I'm talking about has roots in both ancient wisdom and modern science. What mystics have known for millennia, quantum physicists are now confirming in laboratories. For 29 years, Prince Siddhartha lived in a perfect world. Every pleasure imaginable was his, every discomfort eliminated, every truth about human suffering hidden. But can a golden cage, no matter how beautiful, ever satisfy the human spirit's longing for truth? Something is missing, he thought, gazing beyond the palace walls. There must be more to existence than endless pleasure and comfort. The day came when curiosity overpowered protection. Against his father's wishes, Siddhartha ventured beyond the palace gates. What he would discover would shatter his perfect world forever. The first truth struck like lightning. An old man, bent and wrinkled, crossed his path. "Who is that?" Siddhartha asked his charioteer. "He is old, my lord. Everyone ages, and the body loses its vitality over time." In that moment, the illusion of eternal youth shattered. "Will I too become like this?" "Yes, my lord. No one escapes time's embrace." The second truth was even more disturbing. A man lay by the roadside, his body ravaged by disease. What afflicts him? "He is sick, my lord. Illness strikes everyone at any moment without warning." The third truth was devastating. A procession carried a still body. "What has happened to him?" "He has died, my lord. Death is the destiny of all. No one escapes it." The word death echoed in Siddhartha's mind like thunder. Then came the fourth encounter, a glimpse of hope amidst despair. A man in simple robes, with a peaceful countenance unlike any Siddhartha had seen. Who is this man who seems untouched by suffering? That man is a renunciate. He has abandoned worldly concerns and seeks inner peace. That night, Siddhartha could not sleep. The palace walls that once protected now felt like prison bars. The pleasures that once delighted now seemed hollow. How can I enjoy luxury while knowing all will end in sickness, old age, and death? He gazed at his beautiful wife Yashodhara and newborn son Rahula. Love filled his heart, yet a deeper question burned within. How can I be a good father or husband while suffering permeates every aspect of existence? Would it not be better to find a way to liberate everyone? That night, in what history would call the Great Renunciation, Siddhartha made the most radical choice possible. He cut his royal hair, removed his jewels, and exchanged his silks for a simple robe. While the palace slept, he mounted his horse Kanthaka and rode into the unknown darkness. The prince who had everything now owns nothing. The man who had never known suffering now sought to understand it completely. Thus began a 6-year journey that would transform not just one man, but the course of human understanding. What causes suffering? Can it be overcome? Is there freedom from the inevitable cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death? Beneath a Bodhi tree, Siddhartha made a vow that would echo through time. "Let my skin, sinews, and bones wither, and my blood dry up, but I will not rise from this spot until I have attained complete enlightenment." The answer would not come from endless thinking or extreme practices. It would emerge from the silence between thoughts, in the space where the mind finds perfect balance. neither indulging nor denying, but simply seeing things as they truly are. And then it happened. As the morning star rose in the sky, Siddhartha Gautama awakened. The veil of ignorance fell away. He saw the true nature of reality with perfect clarity. He was no longer Prince Siddhartha. He had become Buddha, the awakened one. What did Buddha discover in that moment of perfect clarity? Not abstract philosophies or complex theories, but three profound insights into the nature of reality itself. Insights so powerful, they would liberate millions from suffering across centuries. The first great realization was impermanence, anicca. While we desperately cling to the illusion of stability, Buddha saw the truth. Everything in existence flows like a river, never remaining the same for even an instant. Look at our modern world. We fight aging with creams and surgeries. We cling to relationships that have changed. We hoard possessions as if they'll last forever. The harder we resist impermanence, the more we suffer. All conditioned things are impermanent, Buddha taught. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. The first step to freedom is not fighting against change, but embracing it as the very nature of existence. The second great realization was suffering, dukkha. Not just physical pain, but the pervasive dissatisfaction that haunts even our happiest moments. The anxiety lurking behind achievement, the emptiness following pleasure. Look at our endless pursuit of satisfaction. The new car that excites for a week, the promotion that thrills for a month, the relationship that fulfills until familiarity creeps in. Buddha saw that suffering arises from desire, tanha, the insatiable craving for more and more that can never be permanently satisfied. The root of suffering is attachment, Buddha taught. When we desperately cling to what we want and reject what we don't want, we create our own prison of dissatisfaction. The mind becomes like a monkey, never at rest, always grasping for the next branch. The final great realization was the cessation of suffering, nirodha. Buddha discovered that liberation is possible, not through endless acquiring or eternal youth, but through letting go of attachment itself. When we stop demanding that reality be different than it is, suffering dissolves. Nirvana, often misunderstood as some mystical heaven, is actually the state of perfect freedom right here in this life. It's the extinguishing of the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion that keeps us trapped in suffering. It's awakening to reality exactly as it is. Having awakened to these three profound truths, Buddha faced a choice: to remain in peaceful solitude enjoying his liberation, or to share this discovery with a world drowning in suffering. Compassion won. For 45 years, he would travel across India, teaching what would become known as the Four Noble Truths. What makes Buddha's teaching remarkable is its practicality. He approached human suffering not as a philosopher, but as a physician. The Four Noble Truths follow the same pattern as medical diagnosis: identify the disease, find its cause, determine if it's curable, and prescribe the treatment. The first noble truth: life involves suffering, dukkha. Buddha began with unflinching honesty about our condition. From the obvious suffering of illness, aging, and death, to the subtle dissatisfaction that pervades even our happiest moments, dukkha is woven into the fabric of existence. Look at our modern world. Despite unprecedented wealth, technology, and comfort, mental suffering is at epidemic levels. Anxiety, depression, addiction, loneliness, these afflictions grow alongside our prosperity. The first noble truth remains as relevant today as it was 2,600 years ago. The second noble truth: suffering has a cause, samudaya. Here, Buddha identified the villain of our story, tanha, the thirst, craving, desire that can never be permanently satisfied. This insatiable wanting takes three forms: craving for sensual pleasure, craving for existence, and craving for non-existence. Our economy thrives on this very principle, creating endless desire for more, newer, better. Social media exploits our craving for validation and comparison. The relentless pursuit of the next dopamine hit, the next achievement, the next purchase. This is tanha in action. Buddha saw that this cycle is endless and ultimately unsatisfying. The third noble truth: suffering can end. Nirodha. This is Buddha's radical hope. Liberation is possible, not in some afterlife, but here and now. When craving ceases, suffering ceases. When we stop demanding that reality be different than it is, we find peace. This state of freedom is nirvana. Look at those rare moments when craving subsides, the peace after accepting a loss, the contentment in simply being present with loved ones, without wanting anything to be different, the clarity that comes when the mind stops its endless wanting. These are glimpses of nirvana, proof that Buddha's third truth is accessible to all of us. The fourth noble truth: there is a path to the end of suffering, magga. Buddha didn't just diagnose the illness and promise a cure. He prescribed a detailed treatment plan. This is the noble Eightfold Path, a comprehensive approach to living that addresses every aspect of human experience, from how we think to how we act and how we develop our minds. The Eightfold Path isn't a linear sequence of steps, but an integrated way of life. Its 8 factors work together like the spokes of a wheel, each supporting the others. Buddha organized these 8 factors into 3 essential training groups: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. The path begins with right view, seeing reality as it truly is. This means understanding the 4 noble truths at a deep level. It means recognizing impermanence, suffering, and the absence of a permanent self. Right view is like clearing away fog to see the landscape of reality clearly. In our world of alternative facts and targeted algorithms, right view is more crucial than ever. We're surrounded by illusions. The illusion that happiness comes from consumption, that our worth depends on others' approval, that we are separate from nature. These delusions are the foundation of our suffering. Right intention follows naturally from right view. When we see clearly, our intentions align with that clarity. Buddha emphasized 3 aspects: the intention of renunciation, letting go, the intention of goodwill, and the intention of harmlessness. These motivations shape everything we do. Our intentions are the seeds from which our actions grow. In a world driven by profit motives and ego gratification, Buddha's emphasis on renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness offers a revolutionary reorientation. When our hearts are filled with these intentions, our actions naturally create less suffering. Right speech addresses how our words create reality. Buddha taught that speech should be truthful, helpful, kind, and harmonious. He warned against lying, divisive speech, harsh words, and meaningless chatter. Our words have the power to heal or harm, to unite or divide. In our age of instant global communication, right speech has never been more relevant. Social media amplifies both our wisdom and our toxicity. Fake news divides communities. Anonymous comments unleash our worst impulses. Buddha's guidance reminds us that our digital words carry the same karma as those spoken face-to-face. Right action involves bodily conduct that creates less suffering. Buddha distilled this into 5 basic ethical principles: not killing, not stealing, not engaging in sexual misconduct, not lying, and not using intoxicants that cloud judgment. These aren't rigid commandments, but practical guidelines for living with awareness and compassion. These principles translate directly to modern ethical challenges. Right action means considering the environmental impact of our consumption, ensuring our business practices don't exploit others, and being mindful of how our lifestyle affects all beings. It's ethics rooted in awareness rather than dogma. Right livelihood extends ethical action to how we earn our living. Buddha advised avoiding professions that cause harm, such as weapons trading, human trafficking, or businesses based on deception. Instead, we should seek work that contributes positively to society while supporting our needs. The question, "What do you do for a living?" takes on deeper significance through Buddha's lens. Beyond salary and status, we must ask, does my work cause suffering? Does it align with my deepest values? Does it contribute to a more compassionate world? Right livelihood challenges us to integrate our ethics and our economics. Right effort concerns how we direct our energy. Buddha described it as a balanced perseverance, preventing and overcoming unwholesome states while cultivating and maintaining wholesome ones. Neither laxity nor straining. Right effort is like tuning a lute string, not too tight, not too loose. In our culture of hustle and burnout, right effort offers crucial wisdom. It's not about working ourselves to exhaustion, nor about passive resignation. It's the sustainable middle way, knowing when to push forward and when to rest, when to engage and when to let go. Right effort is the art of wise energy management. Right mindfulness is the practice of present moment awareness without judgment. It means paying careful attention to our body sensations, feelings, mind states, and mental objects as they arise and pass away. This cultivation of awareness becomes our anchor in the storm of experience. In our age of constant distraction and digital overwhelm, mindfulness has become not just spiritual practice, but survival skill. Our attention is fragmented across devices. Notifications demand our focus, and algorithms hijack our awareness. Right mindfulness is the radical act of reclaiming our consciousness from these forces. Right concentration completes the path through the cultivation of profound mental focus. Through meditation practices, the mind learns to rest single-pointedly on an object without wavering. Buddha described 4 progressive stages of concentration, each dissolving more subtle distractions and unifying the mind. While our culture celebrates multitasking, Buddha recognized the transformative power of unifying the mind. Through right concentration, we access states of joy, tranquility, and insight impossible through scattered attention. Like a magnifying glass focusing sunlight, a concentrated mind reveals truths invisible to the distracted eye. 45 years after his enlightenment, Buddha traveled across India, teaching anyone who was ready to listen. Kings and beggars, scholars and farmers, men and women of all castes, his compassion excluded no one. At the age of 80, having established a large community of followers, Buddha passed away, his final words echoing his lifelong teaching. All conditioned things are impermanent. Strive on with awareness. 26 centuries later, Buddha's diagnosis of the human condition and prescription for freedom remains profoundly relevant. His teaching spread from India across Asia, evolving into diverse traditions like Theravada, Mahayana, Zen, and Tibetan Buddhism. Each culture added its unique expression while preserving the essential insights. Today, as we face unprecedented global challenges, environmental crisis, technological disruption, mental health epidemics, Buddha's insights offer timeless wisdom. The suffering he diagnosed persists in new forms: anxiety from constant connectivity, existential fear from climate change, alienation from consumer culture. And yet, his path to freedom remains accessible. Buddha's revolution wasn't building temples or establishing rituals. It was the radical idea that liberation is available right here, right now. Not through divine intervention, but through our own awakening. Enlightenment doesn't require caves in the Himalayas. It can happen in traffic jams, boardrooms, and family dinners when we see through our attachments. Perhaps Buddha's most liberating insight is that freedom doesn't depend on changing your external world, but on transforming your relationship to it. We don't need perfect circumstances to find peace. We need awareness of our attachments and the courage to let them go. As he said, "You yourself must strive. The Buddhas only point the way." Buddha never claimed divinity. He was a human being who woke up to reality. His story reminds us that enlightenment is not a supernatural achievement, but our birthright as conscious beings. The potential to awaken lives within each of us, not because we can become special, but because we can see through the illusion of separateness that makes us feel special or unworthy in the first place. Buddha's challenge to us remains as provocative today as it was 2,600 years ago. Are you willing to examine the roots of your own suffering? Can you see how your attachments create your pain? Are you brave enough to let go of what you think you need to be happy? The path he discovered is available to anyone with the courage to walk it. Like the lotus that grows from mud yet blooms immaculately above the water, Buddha showed that from the mud of our confusion and suffering, the flower of enlightenment can blossom. The journey from Siddhartha to Buddha is not just an ancient legend, it's a living possibility within each of us, waiting to unfold when we have the wisdom to see and the courage to let go. Buddha's teachings aren't just philosophical concepts. They're practical tools for navigating modern challenges. Mindfulness meditation, the cornerstone of his path, has been scientifically validated to reduce stress, improve focus, and even physically change the brain. Just as Buddha prescribed, this practice of present moment awareness offers an antidote to our age of distraction. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom. While not Buddha's words, this modern insight perfectly captures his teaching on mindfulness. By cultivating awareness of our reactions, we create space between trigger and response. That space is where our freedom lives. The power to choose wisdom over habit, compassion over anger. In a consumer culture built on manufacturing desire, Buddha's insight that craving causes suffering becomes revolutionary. Marketing constantly tells us we're incomplete without the newest product. Social media fuels comparison and discontent. Buddha offers the radical alternative: contentment not through acquiring more, but through wanting less. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition, but freeing it from the illusion that possession equals happiness. Buddha taught mindful consumption of sense impressions in an age of scrolls and spoken words. Today, we face an unprecedented tsunami of digital stimulation. The average person consumes more information in a day than someone in the 15th century processed in a lifetime. Buddha's principles of mindful consumption invite us to be deliberate about what we allow into our awareness, creating boundaries that protect our mental ecology. Another practical application of Buddha's teaching is the intentional cultivation of positive emotions. Through practices like loving-kindness meditation, metta, we can systematically strengthen compassion, just as we strengthen muscles through exercise. Research confirms these practices change our neural pathways, making kindness more natural and automatic. In a world often driven by fear and division, deliberately cultivating compassion is both personal healing and social activism. Perhaps the most profound practice Buddha offers our death-denying culture is contemplation of impermanence. By gently turning toward the reality of our mortality, rather than flinching away, we paradoxically find greater appreciation for life. Studies of near-death experiences confirm what Buddha taught. Confronting impermanence reduces fear and increases our capacity for joy and meaning. Accepting the transient nature of all things doesn't lead to nihilism, but to a more authentic, present, and grateful relationship with life. As Buddha's teachings spread globally, certain misconceptions have taken root. Perhaps the most fundamental is the idea that Buddha was a god or divine being. In reality, Buddha repeatedly emphasized his humanity, insisting he was simply a person who had awakened to the nature of reality. His last words reminded followers that they too could achieve what he had achieved through their own efforts. Buddhism is not about worshiping Buddha, but about applying his insights to awaken ourselves. Another common misconception is that Buddhism teaches life is meaningless, or that emptiness means nothingness. In reality, Buddhist emptiness, sunyata, refers to the absence of independent existence. Everything exists in interdependence. Far from nihilism, this understanding reveals the profound interconnectedness of all life. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything co-arises in relationship. This emptiness of separate self is actually fullness of connection. Many believe Buddhism teaches passive resignation or withdrawal from life. In truth, non-attachment doesn't mean not caring. It means caring without the distortion of self-centered clinging. The most devoted Buddhist practitioners throughout history have been deeply engaged in relieving suffering through social work, education, and activism. Non-attachment gives us the emotional resilience to care deeply without burning out. It's not detachment from life, but detachment from the egoic need for control and specific outcomes. Perhaps the most persistent misconception is that Buddhism is about denying pleasure and suppressing desire. The reality is more nuanced. Buddha abandoned extreme asceticism as ineffective. His middle way encourages neither indulgence nor denial, but mindful engagement with life's pleasures without becoming enslaved by them. The goal isn't to eliminate desire, but to transform it from grasping need to appreciative enjoyment. Buddhism doesn't condemn pleasure, it liberates us to enjoy it without the suffering that comes from addiction and clinging. A final misconception is that Buddhism requires adopting Asian cultural forms or abandoning one's native traditions. In reality, Buddhism has always adapted to new cultures while preserving its essential insights. From China to Tibet to Japan, each culture expressed Buddha's teachings through their unique aesthetics and metaphors. Today, Western Buddhism takes new forms while maintaining the core principles. Buddha's interest was pragmatic liberation, not cultural conversion. His teachings are like medicine. Their purpose is healing, regardless of the cultural packaging. Buddha's teachings aren't just to be understood intellectually. They're to be experienced directly through practice. Meditation was his primary method for developing awareness and insight. Let's explore some simple meditation practices for beginners inspired by Buddha's teachings. These require no special equipment, no particular beliefs, and can be done anywhere. The only requirement is your sincere attention. Breath awareness meditation. Begin by sitting comfortably with your back reasonably straight. This posture embodies dignity and alertness while remaining relaxed. Close your eyes or keep them slightly open with a soft gaze downward. Take a few deep breaths to settle yourself. Then allow your breathing to return to its natural rhythm. Now, simply bring your attention to the sensation of breathing. Notice where you feel the breath most clearly, perhaps at the nostrils, chest, or abdomen. There's no need to control the breath. Just observe it with friendly curiosity. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring your attention back to the breath without judgment. Start with just 5 minutes daily, gradually increasing as you feel comfortable. Body awareness meditation. Once you've established some comfort with breath awareness, try this practice of systematic body awareness. Sitting or lying down, bring your attention to different parts of your body in sequence. Begin with your feet and slowly move upward. Feet, legs, hips, abdomen, chest, hands, arms, shoulders, neck, and head. For each area, simply notice any sensations present without trying to change them. You might feel warmth, coolness, tingling, pressure, or perhaps nothing distinct at all. The goal isn't to feel anything special, but to reconnect with your embodied experience. This practice grounds awareness in the body, countering our tendency to live exclusively in our thoughts. Loving kindness meditation. This practice cultivates the heart qualities Buddha emphasized alongside mindfulness. Sitting comfortably, begin by generating feelings of kindness toward yourself. Silently repeat phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I be safe," "May I live with ease." Allow these words to awaken genuine well-wishing toward yourself. Then gradually extend these same wishes to others. First to someone you care about, then to a neutral person, then to someone difficult, and finally to all beings everywhere. The purpose isn't to manufacture artificial feelings, but to water the seeds of compassion already present within you. This practice directly counters anger, resentment, and isolation. Walking meditation. Buddha taught that mindfulness can be practiced in any posture. Walking meditation is perfect for those who find sitting challenging or simply want to integrate practice into daily activities. Walk at a normal or slightly slower pace. Bring attention to the sensations of walking, the lifting, moving, and placing of each foot. When your mind wanders, gently return attention to these sensations. You can practice this anywhere, in nature, around your home, even walking to your car or between meetings. This practice helps break the artificial boundary between meditation and real life, showing that presence is available in every moment. Mindfulness of thoughts. As you develop comfort with the previous practices, you can expand awareness to include your thought process itself. Sitting in meditation, notice when a thought arises. Rather than being immediately caught up in its content, simply label it thinking. Observe how thoughts appear, linger, and dissolve like clouds in the sky of awareness. This practice develops metacognitive awareness, the ability to observe your own thinking process rather than being unconsciously driven by it. Buddha taught that this distinction between awareness and thought content is crucial for freedom from suffering. Integrating mindfulness in daily life. While formal meditation builds the foundation, Buddha emphasized applying mindfulness throughout daily activities. Try designating certain everyday actions as mindfulness bells, triggers for present moment awareness. Perhaps the ring of your phone, stopping at red lights, or washing your hands. When these occur, pause briefly to take a conscious breath and reconnect with the present. Additionally, try single tasking, giving one activity your full attention rather than fragmenting awareness across multiple tasks. Whether eating, listening, working, or resting, see if you can be fully present for that one activity. As we face unprecedented global challenges in the 21st century, Buddha's insights offer timeless wisdom for navigating these troubled waters. His analysis of suffering and its causes speaks directly to our current crises, from climate change born of unsustainable consumption to mental health epidemics fueled by digital distraction and isolation. The same patterns of craving, aversion, and delusion that Buddha identified continue to drive our individual and collective suffering, albeit in new forms. Buddha's teaching on interdependence, pratityasamutpada, offers a profound framework for understanding our interconnected global challenges. Nothing exists in isolation. Our economy depends on ecology, our mental health on social connection, our politics on shared understanding. This system's perspective reveals how attempting to solve problems in isolation often creates new ones elsewhere. Just as Buddha saw through the illusion of the separate self, we must see through the illusion of separate crises. Climate change, inequality, polarization. These are not distinct problems, but symptoms of the same fundamental patterns Buddha diagnosed. The Middle Way principle offers guidance for addressing our ecological crisis. Just as Buddha rejected both indulgence and extreme asceticism, we need economies that avoid both unsustainable consumption and impoverished austerity. Sustainable prosperity requires the same balanced approach Buddha discovered, neither exploitative growth nor anti-human regression, but systems that meet human needs while respecting planetary boundaries. The Middle Way suggests that environmental solutions must consider human well-being, and economic systems must acknowledge ecological reality. Buddha's emphasis on compassion and skillful speech offers wisdom for our polarized discourse. He taught that speech should be truthful, helpful, timely, kind, and unifying. In our era of algorithmically amplified outrage and tribal identity politics, this guidance is revolutionary. Compassion doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations, but approaching them with awareness of our shared humanity rather than demonizing those with different views. Buddha demonstrated that transformation comes not through defeating enemies, but through understanding the universal patterns that drive all suffering, including those we oppose. Perhaps Buddha's most radical teaching for our time is that external change must be paired with internal transformation. Our ecological, social, and political problems are ultimately manifestations of our collective mental states. While systemic change is necessary, lasting solutions require transformation of consciousness. By developing awareness of how greed, hatred, and delusion operate in our own minds, we become less susceptible to manipulation by external forces that exploit these tendencies. This inner work isn't separate from social engagement, but its essential foundation. As we develop technologies of unprecedented power, Buddha's emphasis on ethical foundations becomes crucial. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and neurotechnology offer tremendous possibilities for both benefit and harm. Buddha taught that all actions should be evaluated by their impact on suffering. Do they increase it or decrease it? This ethical clarity cuts through the confusion of rapid technological change. Just as Buddha advised the right use of all human capacities, we need wisdom to guide our technological powers. Without the internal development of compassion and wisdom, our external powers risk becoming forces of destruction. 26 centuries separate us from Buddha, yet his central insights remain profoundly relevant. Through all the technological and social changes since his time, the fundamental patterns of human suffering and its causes have remained remarkably consistent. As we face unprecedented challenges, his teachings offer not dogma, but tested methods for developing the clarity, compassion, and wisdom our world desperately needs. Buddha's revolution was never about establishing a religion, but offering practical tools for human liberation. In that spirit, his insights continue to illuminate our path forward. We've journeyed through Buddha's life story, explored his core insights, and examined their relevance for our modern world. But knowledge alone is not enough. Buddha emphasized that understanding must be paired with practice. His teachings aren't meant to be merely believed, but tested in the laboratory of your own experience. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. What if you committed just 5 minutes today to one of the meditation practices we explored? Not with expectations of instant enlightenment, but with simple curiosity about your own experience. Small actions, consistently taken, create profound transformation over time. Buddha's final teaching was to be a light unto yourself. He never wanted followers who blindly believed his words, but fellow explorers who would verify his discoveries through their own experience. As you consider his teachings, apply the same empirical spirit he embodied. Test each idea against your direct experience. What reduces your suffering? What increases your awareness? What helps you respond to life with greater wisdom and compassion? Buddha recognized that awakening is supported by community. He established the Sangha, a community of practitioners who could support each other's development. Today, this principle remains vital. Whether through formal Buddhist communities or informal groups of friends exploring mindfulness together, connection with others on the path provides encouragement, accountability, and wisdom beyond our individual perspective. Consider finding or creating such a community as you explore these teachings. The lotus flower, a symbol in Buddhist traditions, grows from murky water but blossoms immaculately above the surface. It reminds us that awakening doesn't require escaping our messy human condition, but transforming it through awareness. From the mud of our confusion, attachment, and suffering, the flower of wisdom can bloom. Buddha didn't become enlightened overnight. For 6 years, he dedicated himself to sincere practice before his breakthrough moment under the Bodhi tree. This patience with process is essential on the spiritual path. Each moment of mindfulness, each act of compassion, each insight into impermanence plants seeds that will ripen in their own time. Trust the journey. The path begins exactly where you are and unfolds one step at a time. Buddha's revolution continues in the hearts and minds of all who sincerely engage with his insights. Whether you identify as Buddhist or not is irrelevant. What matters is your willingness to examine the causes of suffering in your own experience and experiment with the path to its cessation. May you discover the freedom and peace that Buddha found beneath the Bodhi tree, available in each moment of awareness. As the ancient texts proclaim, may all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering.